All right, good morning. It is Sunday morning. It is definitely a pleasure to be here with you guys. So this morning, I wanted to go live. Matter of fact, I've been wanting to go live for a while. But I felt like I didn't have what I needed to go live. I felt like I just needed another topic. And so today, guys, I want to continue sort of the dialogue around the latest article, which this video is really stemming from. It's called No More Mr. Nice Guy. Okay. And one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this is because I feel like that, some people are, maybe they've gotten the wrong message. They got the wrong idea. I don't know if they've read it, or if they're just looking at the title and trying to make an assumption of what it is, or maybe they're even, reading a little bit and they think that's essentially what this article is about. So I want to kind of go a little bit deeper into the real reason for the topic, and then I'll go into some of the article and I'll try to finish it off from there. So the purpose of this article was really to address the core problem, which is what this live video is about, and that is really how to avoid being a pushover, how to avoid being too nice, how to avoid being taken advantage of, how to avoid being a doormat for others. And the reason why I think this is important, and it's important to me, is because I feel for me that I have in my life, I have been, nice. I have been maybe too nice, right? Trying to get along with a lot of people, trying to just, ease situations. And I think as a result of that, I've taken on, I guess, just different behaviors and thought processes that haven't always served me well. And that is really where I wanted to come with this article today, or with this video, is really to address the question of how do I avoid that? How do I get over that? How do I stop it? Maybe it's happening to you right now, and the question is, how do I stop it? How do I avoid this from happening again? So I'm going to sort of go look at the article that I currently have in place, and I'll kind of go through some of the story, and then I'll try to dig into some of the areas where I feel that people may have gotten the wrong impression. So I'm going to go back to where I initially started. And that is, in the article, I kind of go back and say, hey, I realize that I am I feel like I'm a nice person. And maybe everybody feels that they're a nice person, right? I'm nice and all that. And I do feel genuinely that I have a good heart, and that I genuinely want to, help other people and be nice and get along with people. And I don't want to rock the boat, kind of things. And as a result, I think that on the positive side of things, it has served me well, because you make a lot of friends, right? People, you're not abrasive, you're not crude, you're not one of those people that I hope that I haven't come across as one of those people who, takes advantage of other people, or feels like I have an ulterior motive, or what have you. But ultimately, I hope that, people get the impression that, hey, he's a nice guy, he definitely likes people and people like him and all that. And that's great. Right? That's great for many reasons. And so I want to maintain that really as a part of an ongoing personality, is that you want to be nice, right? Being nice is a good thing. Being nice to others, being caring, being kind, being, reverent, being, careful of other people and respectful of other people. Those are good things. So I want to put that out there first. And I don't want that to really be misconstrued as to say being nice is a good thing and or is a bad thing. So that, number one. Now, let me go into some of the background story. So I told in the article, I told a story about how I was young, and I told how, when I was younger, I was always kind of the good guy, right? I was that guy that was very friendly with other people, and I felt like if somebody did me wrong or, said something, I don't feel like I would immediately just kind of go into them, or I would cause a problem, or, I would fight them because you said something to me. I would just sort of Okay. I don't agree with you. That's your opinion. But I do know that as a young person, that being too nice has laid has laid the groundwork for me to be taken advantage of. And in the story, I talk about relationships with women. What I didn't talk about or haven't spoken about was also just friends in general. When I was growing up, I used to be taken advantage of because I wouldn't stand up for myself, right? Things would happen and I would be like, they'll get it on the backside. That's not for me to fight. I've lost from friends who who are my friends, borrowed clothes that that were never returned to me. There were items that were stolen from me. And I think that while I may have had an idea of who it was, I didn't immediately take action on some of those things. I may be passively, I may have removed myself from their circle, realizing, hey, maybe they're not my kind of friend. But in the article, I talk about, relationships with women. And I think that being nice, while it's nice, right, it's a good thing. I also think that being too nice leaves the door open for individuals, right, when I was growing up, to be taken advantage of, where, you are, and I joke about this in the article, you become what they call, forever friend zone. You have been put into the friend zone, which means you will be a part of every conversation that they have about other people that they care for. But you are oftentimes you're not the person by which they are pining after, the person that they're seeking to get or to get after or whatever. You just you're that friend. You're who they're talking to, telling the stories to. And while I think you're an important part of their life, when you're growing up, you want to have a relationship maybe with this person or persons, depending on, where you are in your life. And so I have just noticed that as I was growing up, that being nice was good. And I think it was the Christian thing to do, was what my mother told me that I should do. And of course, I still stand by those beliefs, and I still stand by those morals and judgments that you should be nice to people. But at the same time, I do understand that at some point in your life that some people are going to take advantage of your niceness. And that's really where I wanted to get with this article, was to say, people will take advantage of you. And if you let them take advantage of you, they'll continue to do it. And so I'll go back to the story that as I was growing up, I remember being in the friend zone for a lot of people. And it wasn't until around high school when I think I made that switch, where for me it was like, you know what? I don't want to be just a friend anymore. I want to be that guy that they want. I want to be the subject of their, of their attraction. I want to be the subject that they're writing circles around and hearts around in their notebook at school. And I just feel like because you were always a friend, I felt like that was never going to happen for me. And what I've noticed is that other guys at the time, they were in a different place. They were very nonchalant, very distant. And I think for many of them, they were probably talking to a lot of different girls at the same time. And what I noticed is that they became so indifferent to any one particular girl that it made it easier for them to sort of be disconnected. Okay. Now, I want to be very clear about this because I saw where this was going in the article, and I think I saw where people sort of took it the wrong way. I'm not promoting that lifestyle is the right lifestyle by any means. I'm not saying, go out and be a player or whatever, but I do think what I learned from that time in my life was that being a nice guy, you tend to focus on one person and you tend to accept any kind of behavior or treatment because that's all you have, right? You didn't have anything else to go on to. And then I think to some regard, if you didn't have anything else, it was like, well, I guess this is all I'm ever going to get, is because this is all I'm good for. This is the only girl that likes me, so I might as well accept what she gives me. Or these are my friends and these are the only friends I'll ever have, so I guess I better just accept what they give me. And I realized that when I was in high school, being sort of putting yourself out there and giving yourself opportunities to meet other people, it really opened the door to say, well, that's not true. I'm not limited to just this circle of friends, or I'm not limited to just this one or two young ladies. No, I'm not limited to just this job or just this, group of team members. No. See, what I realized is when you began to open up the door and you began to see other people and you started making friends in other contexts and other connections, now you had opportunities. Now you had options. Now you had decisions that you can make. So if one thing was not working for you, you could say, you know what? I don't think that's working for me. And you could leave it alone. Okay. And so I think that for me, what I really enjoyed, give me one second here. I think what I really enjoyed, hold on, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. What I enjoyed most is that experience. While I think it was, obviously I was in high school, and of course there was a lot of young rambunctiousness and just a kind of a different time in my life. Of course I was pulling a lot of phone numbers at the time, and that was a part of the game of it, was just saying, hey, I'm gonna see how many people I can meet, and it was fun. And it felt good because now, in that process of not caring about any one particular person or one particular group of friends or one particular neighborhood, I realized that I could make choices, and I felt a place of empowerment that was wonderful. And I think even with the people who I was once chasing, now I didn't have to chase anymore, because now people were lining up to get into my circle, and it really put me into a place of empowerment. So having sort of set that up, okay, what I'd like to say is that lesson, was in my teens, but that lesson really helped me to have a success memory, if you will, about how to be empowered. So now I'm going to kind of fast forward as you transition from your 20s and your 30s and now in my 40s. I can tell you that in my life, I have been taken advantage of many times. And again, by friends, by partners, by, all different kinds of people. And at the end of the day, the only person you can really hold accountable is yourself. Because you realize that you were the one that either has allowed it or you didn't allow it. And there's a quote that I shared online, and it says this, is that you teach people how to treat you by what you allow, what you stop, and what you reinforce. And this is really an important quote because instead of pointing the fingers at other people and saying, well, they're at fault, they took advantage of me, I think the better statement is that you allowed that to happen, because no one can do anything to you that you don't ultimately allow, right? If you give people access to your life, like when I was a kid and I let people into my circle, and if they took advantage of my circle, took advantage of my niceness, which is what some did, then that showed me the kind of character that they had. And of course, at that time, when I realized that's the kind of character they had, I could either continue to hang out with them, which in essence says it's perfectly okay for you to treat me that way, right? If you've stolen from me and I know it, and then I let you back into my circle, then that's me telling you, hey, it's okay to steal from me, because nothing's going to happen. Okay. And I think that there are people, and I know this because I have been there many times, is that there are people who are afraid of losing what they have. And that ultimately leads to this place where you continuously get taken advantage of, right? Where somebody will do something to you, will take something from you, will, treat you a certain way, and you become a victim mainly because you keep accepting that into your life. See, when somebody does something to you, somebody steals from you, somebody lies to you, somebody, mistreats you, somebody disrespects you, somebody whatever, that first time is where you get to decide, wait, this is not the person that I thought you were, or oh my gosh, I cannot have that in my life. It is up to you at this point to decide, what are you going to do with it? And I'll be honest, and this is me being transparent. By all means, I am not perfect, or have I been perfect in executing this all the time. But I think, when things don't work, or when things fall down, or when things happen to you, that's where you learn the lesson. And I feel like, there have been times in my life that I've accepted, certain things that happened to me, and I would keep going back because I was thinking that there was going to be a different solution, or there was going to be a different outcome, which, of course, now I say that, there is the quote that comes to mind where it's like, insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different outcome. And in essence, that's exactly what's happened in my life, is that there have been times where I've had friends and I've had partners and I've had, situations in my life where I kept saying, well, maybe next time it'll be different. And it's not. And as a result of that, I keep allowing certain things to happen in my life that ultimately I'm responsible for. That I was, taken advantage of, or I was mistreated, or I was, run through the mud, or whatever. See, that at the end of the day is my responsibility, because the only person that can protect me in that moment is me. The only person that can protect you is you. And you have to know, in your heart of hearts, what's good for you. You have to know what you want. You have to know where you're going, and you have to be willing to face the fear. And this is ultimately huge pieces. You have to be able to face your fear of maybe not having, maybe your friends that you have in your circle. Maybe you're afraid that if you don't have them anymore, if you walk away from those friends, that you won't ever have any friends anymore, or you won't have anyone who care for you. And this is where you have to get that out of your head and say, I have to care for me as an individual. For myself, I have to have self-respect to say there's just certain things that I can't allow you to do, or I can't allow somebody else to do. Because at the end of the day, that means you don't have any self-respect for your own being, for your own purpose in life. Right? So you have to, at some point, you got to face that fear and say, I can't do it anymore. I can't, maybe you're at a job that you're not happy. Maybe your boss is disrespectful to you. Maybe you're being taken advantage of, working hours and not getting paid for it. Or maybe you're doing overtime and, people are just putting you on the schedule because you won't say no, right? You're that one person who always say, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll do it. Even though you don't really want to, but you still do it. Right? You still are allowing people to take advantage of you. You're allowing people to have their way, maybe when you don't feel that's in your best interest, or you don't feel that this is in your purpose, or you don't even feel that this is a part of your morals and values, but yet and still you still allow it. And see, what happens is now you, instead of becoming strong and standing up for what you believe in, what happens is you end up accepting other people's behaviors and other people's thoughts and other people's opinions as your own, instead of being who you are, standing up for what you believe in and saying, I'm not going that way. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to allow that in my life, because that's not me. That's not for me. It's not what I want. And you have to face that fear and say, you know what? If I lose it, if I lose that job, or if I lose that friendship, or if I lose that family member, or maybe I lose a loved one, maybe that's what's best for you, because that fear will keep you in a situation where maybe it's not conducive for you. Maybe it's holding you back from reaching your purpose in life. And so that was really, essentially, when I look at this article, that's really what this article is about. And I think that some people looked at this particular article and they say, well, this is about you being a player, or this is about you, wanting to sleep with a bunch of people, and don't be nice, be mean, or maybe, and some people even took it to say that I was saying, don't be nice ever, be mean, or be selfish. And I'm not saying that ever. I wasn't saying that at any point in time in this article. What I was trying to convey is that you do need to set boundaries, is that you do need to have some level of standards that you say, I'm not going to let anyone push past this point, because I have enough self-respect for me, and I know where I'm going, and I know what I want to do with my life, and I know what I want to achieve. And if you can come along with me, and you can benefit me, and you can pour into me, and you can speak life into me, and you can help me get to where I want to go, then great, come along. But if you're going to be one of those people who's going to take from me, who's going to steal from me, who's going to misuse me, who mistreat me, who would disrespect me, and you're going to take from me the energy or whatever it is that I got going on, and you're going to take from me, then maybe you need to be out of my circle. You need to be out of my life. Right? And that really is what this whole thing is about. And so I wanted to share, so how do we avoid those things? Well, number one, you have to be willing to face your fears. You have to be willing to say no. No more. I'm not going to take it anymore. That's number one. And then two, you then have to, after you say it, both to yourself specifically, is then you have to act on it. And this is something that was hard for me, because there were times that I would say it and then I would do it, and then I'd be like, oh man, but I miss my friends, or oh man, I miss them, or oh man, I'm going to lose out something. But that's the price that maybe you have to pay. That if you can save yourself and save your dignity and save your self-respect, but maybe you lose something that maybe you had. That's the price, and you have to be willing to walk away. Now here's the key. You have to be willing to walk away. And this is the mindset that you have to have, is that I have to be willing to walk away and never come back. And you have to be willing to do that. That has to be the ultimate price, because if in fact this person, this job, this boss, this friend, this family member, this whoever's in your life, if they can't respect you enough, if they don't value enough, that if they can't treat you right, if they don't talk to you the right way, if they don't, if they steal from you, and if they don't change, then you have to say, hey, look, I'm walking away and never return. And it's when you're willing to be in that place, when you're able to turn off the emotions in that moment and say, I respect me in this moment. To say, I respect me and love me enough that I'm not going to allow to be taken advantage of, then that's when things will change. And even if that situation that you were in doesn't change them, doesn't change that relationship, doesn't change that job, doesn't change those things, what changes is you. What changes is you're not going to allow that to happen in your life anymore. And it's not about being mean. It's not about being, it's not about trying to, get back at somebody else. It's about protecting who you are and being true to who you are, and not allowing someone else to change you into something that you're not. Does that make sense? So yes, in this particular article, I spoke about, being young and how I had been taken advantage of, but it's so much more than that. It's more than just, teenage relationships and pining after girls. It's about a behavior that I adopted as a child, to say I was afraid of being alone, or I was afraid of not having, or I was afraid of, not having my friends, or whatever. And at some point you got to say, that's a fear, sure, but I'm not going to take it anymore. And it's when that happens, and when you get enough, you've had enough in your life that you said, I'm not taking it anymore, that's when things will change for you. And the only person that can do that is going to be you. It's me. It's us. I mean, no one else can do that for you. And until you do, your situation will never change. You will be constantly, forever in a loop of repeated behaviors and cycles that don't serve you well. And that, at the end of the day, is not just for relationships. It's not just for your business. It's not just for your work. It's not just for your family. It's every situation in your life. Until you get that, until you're able to be that kind of person that can stand up for yourself and say no and mean it, be willing to walk away if you have to, that's when things will change for you. That's when people will stop walking over you. That's when people will stop taking advantage of you. That's when people will stop disrespecting you and talking to you in a way that is not serving you or them or anything that you have together well. And it's not about walking around being mean or cold or anything. It's just about being honest, and it's about setting boundaries, and it's about setting, putting a line in the sand and saying, I like this job. I like my friends. I love my love. But at some point, I can't allow this to happen anymore. And if you can't meet that standard, then maybe it's better that, maybe we part ways. Maybe this job is not right for me. Maybe this relationship is not right for me. Maybe I got to cut off some family members because they're just too negative. They're too something. So that's really the gist of this article. And hopefully I think you got something out of it. I really want to do more of these here. So I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Do you feel this is on point? Have you experienced this in your life? And when you have, what was the before and after for you? I'd also like to hear some other topics that we can really start to dig into, really to kind of dig in further. So maybe there's the articles that I write about, but then there's going to be more of this behind the scenes. Let's dig into the motivation. Let's dig into how we can, kind of take this and apply this into our lives. And so hopefully, again, guys, you got something out of it. I'd love to see some other things that maybe you want to talk about. If you have some questions, or you have some problems, or you have some areas that you're struggling with, I definitely would love to talk about those, write about those, and just kind of dig in more. So for now, I'm going to kind of jump off, but I want to say thank you guys for joining me this morning. Whether you're watching live, I see Monica, welcome. If you're watching live, or if you're watching as an archive video, it's totally cool. But feel free to talk back. Let me know how I can help serve you guys better and provide more information into your circle to help empower you and to give you some of that information that maybe help you on some areas where you're struggling or where you want some continued growth and development. Because again, every day is about growing. Every day is about getting better. And at no point in time will I ever sit up here and say, hey, I know everything there is to know. Really, what I hope to convey to you is that through these articles and through these videos is that as I learn these lessons and as I go through them, I'm sharing them with you so that we can learn together, so that maybe there's something that I've learned or I've been reminded of, because again, I've learned a lot and forget a lot, that I've been reminded of that can help you and serve you in your life. So guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to jump off. Until next time, this is Damon Nolan. And as we always say, deuces. Have a good one.